What if the only thing holding you back isn't a lack of talent, but the kind of knowledge you're chasing? Think about that. We grow up believing that being smart means knowing a lot of things: facts, dates, formulas, trivia. But has that kind of knowledge ever truly changed your life? Has it ever built something real for you? Probably not, because the truth is, the world doesn't reward how much you know. It rewards what you can do with what you know. And most of what we're taught has no real use. It fills our heads but leaves our lives empty. That's why so many people feel stuck. Not because they're lazy, not because they're not trying, but because they've been aiming at the wrong target. You don't need to be a genius to create a powerful life. You need to know something valuable, something useful, something that solves a problem. That's what specialized knowledge is. It's not about being a know-it-all. It's about becoming a go-to, the person who knows one thing so well others rely on them. Specialized knowledge gives you power because it can't be ignored. It's rare, and what's rare is respected. When you go deep, people listen. Doors open. Opportunities chase you instead of you chasing them. That's how life changes, not with random facts, but with focused mastery. Maybe you've felt lost before, like you're trying so hard and still not getting anywhere. That's not because you're not enough. It's because you're scattered, pulled in 100 directions. But here's the shift. When you choose to focus on one thing, one skill, one craft, one area, you stop feeling lost. You start to feel purpose. You begin to feel progress. And with progress comes power. That feeling of, I'm finally getting somewhere. That's what changes everything. It rebuilds your confidence, it sharpens your mind, it fuels your drive. And if you stay with this, if you keep listening, you'll learn how to uncover the knowledge that actually matters, the kind that transforms careers, builds businesses, creates freedom. You'll understand why depth beats speed, or why clarity beats volume, and how to stand out in a world drowning in noise. Most people spend their whole lives chasing surface-level information. They stay busy, they stay exhausted, but never fulfilled, never truly free. You don't have to be one of them. You can step off that treadmill. Stay with me, because this is just the beginning. The road to transformation doesn't require you to become someone else. It only asks you to go deeper into who you already are. The knowledge you need is already calling you. It's hidden in your passions, your frustrations, your curiosities. And when you finally unlock it, everything changes. You stop feeling behind. You stop comparing yourself to others. You start building, creating, leading. That's what this journey is about. It's not just about knowledge. It's about becoming powerful because of what you know. And you're closer to that than you think. Let me know if you'd like help with the next section, a title screen script, or closing call to action ideas. Most people are drowning in information but starving for meaning. They scroll, they search, they collect facts, but they never feel clear. That's the trap of general knowledge. It makes you feel like you're learning, but it keeps you stuck in the same place. It's surface level. It doesn't move your life forward. It doesn't build confidence. It doesn't create change. You know a little about everything, but you're not great at anything. And deep down, that creates frustration. You feel like you should be further ahead by now, like something's missing. And it is. What's missing is direction. What's missing is depth. What's missing is that one thing you've mastered so well that people notice. Respect it. Pay for it. Follow it. There's a reason why the world forgets generalists and remembers specialists. A generalist blends in. A specialist stands out. When you know something better than most people ever will, you don't chase opportunities. You attract them. You become the answer to someone's problem. And that makes you valuable. That makes you necessary. That makes you unstoppable. You stop asking, what job will take me, and start asking, what value can I create that no one else can? That's the power of specialized knowledge. It's not about being smarter. It's about going deeper than others are willing to go. You're not here to memorize what everyone else knows. You're here to learn what only a few choose to master. That's how you rise. That's how you stop being replaceable. When you go deep, you gain confidence that can't be faked. You speak with certainty. You move with purpose. You walk into rooms and don't shrink back because you know you've earned your space. That feeling is life-changing. And it's available to you, not because you're special, but because you're willing. Willing to stop chasing shortcuts, willing to stop scattering your attention, willing to focus. Right now, there's a skill, a subject, a field where your potential is waiting. It's not about discovering it by accident. It's about choosing it, committing to it, and then pushing yourself beyond the surface. You don't need to know everything. You just need to go deeper than the average person is willing to. That's where the breakthroughs live. That's where the opportunities hide, not in the noise, but in the depth. This world rewards clarity. It rewards courage. And nothing gives you more of both than owning your lane. Most people avoid the deep work. They fear boredom. They fear failure. They fear not being perfect. But you are not most people. You're here because something inside you is done being average, or done being stuck, done knowing 1,000 things and still feeling lost. The answer isn't more noise, it's more focus, more depth, more commitment to mastering what truly matters. Specialized knowledge is the path, and it's the edge that will separate you from the rest, not just in skill, but in the life you're building. Let me know if you'd like help with the third section, a custom call to action for this theme, or emotional music suggestions to match the tone. There's a reason you feel alive when you grow. The brain is wired for progress. It rewards movement. It lights up when you improve, even in small steps. That's not just motivation, it's chemistry. And the deepest progress comes when you stop skimming and start mastering. You begin to feel purpose when you lock into one thing and pursue it with intention. Suddenly you're not drifting anymore. You're not just reacting to life. You're building something real, something that matters. That's what specialized knowledge creates. It gives you direction that fuels your psychology. And when your mind has direction, everything else falls in line. The chaos fades. The distractions lose power. Your decisions become simpler because once you know what you're here to master, the noise disappears. You don't need to know what everyone else is doing. You just need to know your path. And then stay on it, relentlessly. That's how confidence is built. Not by luck, not by compliments, but by clarity. When you know your role, your craft, your lane, you begin to trust yourself. You stop looking outward for permission and start looking inward for power. You stop asking if you're enough and start proving to yourself that you are. Specialization gives you that power because it gives you something to protect, something to grow, something to pour yourself into. And as you go deeper, you gain something most people never feel, inner control. You're no longer spinning your wheels. You're not dependent on the market, the trends, or the crowd. You've built something in yourself that no one can take away. That's not just skill, that's freedom. And the more you sharpen that skill, the more unstoppable you become. Repetition, focus, and depth, these aren't glamorous, but they are powerful. They're the forces behind excellence. And every time you resist the urge to jump around, every time you choose depth over distraction, you reinforce a new identity, a stronger one. A version of you that is trusted, respected, and needed. The kind of person people come to when they want real answers. The kind of person who doesn't just talk, but delivers. That shift changes how you walk, how you speak, and how you see the world. You were never meant to be average. But average is what happens when you settle for general knowledge. When you try to be everything, you end up being nothing. You blur. You disappear. But when you choose one thing and own it, you sharpen. You rise. You become a force. That's what the brain is built to do, to specialize, to focus, to master. And once you unlock that part of yourself, the one who craves growth and thrives on challenge, there's no turning back. You stop living small. You stop waiting for change. You become the change. Because specialized knowledge doesn't just change what you know. It changes who you are. And that is the beginning of everything. Let me know if you'd like the next 500-word section, a script summary for review, or scene tone suggestions to match the narration. You don't rise by accident, you rise by intention. And intention begins the moment you choose to stop consuming and start creating. Specialized knowledge demands that shift. It asks more of you, not more energy, but more focus, not more hours, but more purpose. This is the kind of work that changes your wiring, the kind that shapes your identity. Because once you start going deep, you stop needing motivation. The work becomes who you are. It becomes part of your rhythm, It's no longer something you do. It's something you become. And that changes how you think. You no longer waste energy trying to be impressive. You're focused on being effective. You're not chasing attention. You're creating impact. You begin to find power in consistency. You show up when others fade. You stay sharp while others drift. You become obsessed with improvement, not approval. That shift, that inner realignment, is what separates those who talk about change from those who live it. This is where your confidence gets built in silence, in the repetitions no one sees, in the days you don't feel like it but still show up, in the moments you could quit but don't. The world will always try to distract you, to convince you that you need more degrees, more followers, more opinions. But you don't need more. You need precision. You need depth. You need clarity. And clarity comes from commitment, not temporary interest, not shallow effort, but real commitment to go beyond knowing and start doing. The ones who win are not always the smartest. They're the ones who stayed focused long enough to go deeper than the rest. While others jump from one idea to the next, you anchor yourself in mastery. And the truth is, it doesn't matter where you start. It doesn't matter how much you know right now. What matters is how willing you are to go further than the average mind. Because when you go deep, you build value, and value is currency. It buys trust. It buys freedom. It builds a reputation that speaks for you when you're not in the room. Specialized knowledge turns you into an asset. And assets are never overlooked. They're protected. They're respected. They're needed. This is how you create a life that lasts. Not built on hype, but on substance. Not driven by trends, but by principle. You don't need to be everything to everyone. You just need to be irreplaceable at one thing. And that's earned, not by rushing, not by copying, but by committing. You don't have to shout to be heard. You just have to go so deep into your craft that your results speak louder than words ever could. That's the path. That's the edge. That's the fire that will move your life forward. And it's already inside you, waiting to be sharpened, waiting to be used. Not someday, now. Let me know if you'd like the next part of the script, a visual tone guide, or voiceover pacing tips to enhance delivery. Most people never realize how close they are to transformation because they give up just before momentum takes hold. They quit when it gets repetitive. They stop when it gets quiet. But that silence, the stillness of routine, the weight of mastery, is where greatness is born. Specialized knowledge doesn't shout, it whispers. It calls you into deeper waters, away from distractions, into the solitude where real strength is built. It's not exciting, it's not glamorous, but it's powerful. Because in those moments when no one is watching, when there's no applause, you're building something they can't see yet. You're becoming undeniable. Every distraction you resist is a small win. Every repetition you complete sharpens your edge. It doesn't feel life-changing at first, but it compounds. Discipline compounds, focus compounds, clarity compounds. And over time, your identity starts to shift. You no longer feel like you're pretending. You stop needing to prove yourself. You start believing it because you've done the work. You've earned it. That's where confidence is born, not from praise, but from progress. From the unshakable knowledge that you've shown up when it counted most, that even when it was hard, you didn't run. The mind craves evidence. It needs proof that your effort is working. And when you specialize, you give it that proof. You make steady gains. You become fluent in your craft. You recognize patterns. You solve problems faster. You see opportunities others miss. And that changes how you carry yourself. You begin to lead without trying to lead. People feel it. They hear it in your voice. They sense it in your presence. You move differently because you've grown, because you've stopped surviving and started building. That kind of internal shift can't be faked, and it can't be taken from you. Most people are chasing attention, but attention fades. What lasts is value. When you become valuable, doors open, not because you ask, but because you've earned it. Specialized knowledge is value in motion. It's the difference between noise and impact. And impact isn't loud, it's deep. It's built from years of showing up, of refining, of removing what doesn't matter and mastering what does. Every step you take in this direction separates you further from the crowd. Not because you're better, but because you've chosen what most won't: depth over distraction, purpose over popularity, mastery over mediocrity. This is where your future is shaped, not in some distant dream, but in what you commit to today, right now, this hour, this choice. You already have the ability. What you need is alignment. You need the courage to stop waiting for the perfect plan and start pouring yourself into one powerful path. One lane, one skill, go all in. Let the rest go. Let the noise fade. Because once you specialize, you become something rare. And rare is remembered. Rare is respected. Rare is rewarded. Be the one who doesn't scatter. Be the one who builds something too strong to be ignored. Let me know if you'd like help creating the next 500-word section, emotional background music suggestions, or a tagline for the full video. You weren't made to blend in. You weren't built to live hidden behind hesitation and noise. There's a depth in you that's been waiting to rise, a voice that's been buried beneath comparison, fear, and distraction. But when you choose specialized knowledge, that voice starts to come alive, not because you're louder, but because you're clearer. You begin to think with precision. You act with intention. You strip away the fluff and get to the heart of what matters. You stop chasing approval. You start creating meaning. You stop drifting. You start driving. This kind of clarity cuts through doubt. It doesn't silence fear completely, but it gives you something stronger, a mission. When you know what you're building, fear becomes a background noise, not a controlling force. Because now your energy is directed. Your decisions are filtered. You're not wasting mental space on every option, every opinion. You've already chosen. You've already committed. That commitment frees you. It gives your actions weight. It gives your presence substance. And people notice, not because you're trying to be seen, but because you're grounded. Purpose draws attention without begging for it. Every day you invest in depth, your roots grow stronger. And strong roots give you stability in chaos. They give you resilience when results are slow, because you're not guessing anymore. You're building from a foundation of knowledge, experience, and growth. The deeper you go, the less you panic. The more you trust your process, and that process becomes your anchor. It keeps you moving forward when others fall back. It keeps you sharp when others get tired. Because you're not fueled by hype, you're fueled by meaning. Specialized knowledge removes excuses. It leaves no room for blame, because it gives you control. Control of your growth. Control of your outcomes. You begin to see challenges differently, not as problems to avoid, but as puzzles to solve. You don't fear pressure anymore. You use it. You let it shape you, refine you, harden you into something the world can't shake. That's what mastery feels like. Not perfection, but power. Quiet, earned power. The kind that doesn't need to be explained. There's a discipline in showing up for the same thing every day. There's power in choosing to get better at one thing instead of getting distracted by everything. And in that discipline, you find something most never discover: identity. You stop wondering who you are. You start knowing. You start owning it. Because you've proven to yourself over and over again that you have what it takes to commit, to grow, to rise. You're not lost. You're not behind. You're becoming. And with every deep step you take into your craft, you carve a path no one else can walk for you. That's the truth of specialized knowledge. It doesn't just change your skill, it changes your life. Because once you know who you are through what you've mastered, there's no going back. Let me know if you'd like the next 500-word section, a series title design, or thumbnail text ideas to match this message. Every time you decide to go deeper instead of wider, you multiply your impact. You stop scattering your effort and start concentrating your force. And concentrated force breaks through. It doesn't try to impress. It doesn't need to be seen. It simply delivers. That's the truth behind every real transformation. It begins with narrowing your focus, not expanding it. Because power doesn't come from being everywhere. It comes from being fully present, fully skilled, fully aligned in one direction. That's where the breakthroughs happen. That's where the noise dies and your real potential rises. Specialized knowledge turns wandering into direction. It gives you an anchor in a world of floating goals and half-finished dreams. You begin to look at time differently. You no longer want to be busy. You want to be effective. You want every hour to mean something. And it starts to, because you're no longer guessing what matters. You know what moves the needle. You know what strengthens your craft. You stop wasting time on shallow praise or meaningless effort. You start designing your energy for mastery, and that changes everything. The process is demanding, but it's honest. It shows you your limits, not to shame you, but to shape you. It reveals what you don't know, not to discourage you, but to direct you. That's how you grow, by leaning into what challenges you instead of hiding from it. Growth doesn't happen in comfort, it happens in clarity. And clarity comes when you pursue one thing with your whole heart. You don't need permission to start. You don't need conditions to be perfect. All you need is one decision, to stop living scattered and start living sharpened. The deeper you go, the more layers you uncover. And that's when real transformation begins. You're no longer learning for results, you're learning for identity. You're learning because this is who you are now. And the people around you will feel that, not because you tell them, but because you live it. Your actions start to reflect a level of seriousness that can't be faked. There's weight in your words, precision in your choices, confidence in your silence. Because you're not chasing, you're becoming. Everything in life will pull you to generalize, to spread yourself thin, to fit into the mold. But the mold was never meant for you. You weren't built to be average. You weren't designed to float. You were made to focus, to refine, to build something deep and lasting. Not for applause, but for alignment. Not to impress, but to impact. Every minute spent in specialized knowledge is a minute invested in the life you actually want. Not the one people expect from you, but the one that reflects your deepest purpose. The one that lasts, the one that fulfills, the one that sets you free. Let me know if you'd like to keep going with the next 500-word section, a video title variation, or hook script for the intro to match this tone. The moment you fully commit, something shifts inside you. Doubt starts to lose its grip. Fear still whispers, but it no longer decides. Because now, you've given yourself direction. You've stopped entertaining everything and started building something. That decision, that single act of focus, rewires how you see yourself. You're no longer waiting to be chosen. You've chosen yourself. You've stepped out of indecision and into momentum. That's rare. That's powerful. Because most people stay stuck, not because they lack potential, but because they fear the cost of going all in. But the cost of staying scattered is far greater. It drains your energy. It dilutes your worth. It steals your time. Every time you dive deeper into your craft, you gain something no one can take from you. You gain confidence built on evidence, not empty hype, but earned belief. That kind of confidence doesn't shout. It walks into the room and doesn't have to explain itself. It speaks through results. It shows up in how you handle pressure, in how you stay calm while others panic, in how you don't need to be convinced. You know why you're here. You've done the work. You've made the sacrifices. And because of that, your presence carries weight. The world tries to sell speed. But what actually works is depth. Real growth doesn't come from shortcuts. It comes from structure, from building layer by layer, failure by lesson, trial by clarity. Every time you go through the process instead of around it, you add another layer to your foundation. That's what gives you power in the long run. That's what makes you unshakable when the winds of uncertainty blow. Because you didn't fake it. You faced it. You stayed in the room long enough to learn. And that staying power becomes your edge. There's a peace that comes from knowing you're exactly where you're supposed to be, not because it's easy, but because it's true. Specialized knowledge aligns your heart with your work. It connects your effort with your identity. You stop chasing trends. You start chasing truth. And that truth makes you efficient. You stop spinning your wheels trying to prove yourself. You just move. Decisively, intentionally, because now your energy has a purpose. And purpose is the ultimate fuel. It keeps you going when motivation fades. It keeps you rising when results are slow. It keeps you present when distractions scream. Most people are stuck in noise, searching for meaning. But you've found your lane. You've narrowed your path. And now, everything that once felt heavy begins to feel lighter. Not because it's easier, but because it's clearer. You know where you're headed. You know what you're building. You've traded chaos for clarity, confusion for conviction. And in that space, the impossible starts to feel real. Not because the world changed, but because you did. Let me know if you'd like help creating the next 500-word section, script formatting for upload, or a voiceover pacing guide to match the tone. The truth is, the path of specialized knowledge demands more than just effort. It demands courage. Courage to stand firm when the world around you pulls you in every direction. Courage to ignore the loudest voices and trust the quiet progress beneath the surface. It asks you to confront discomfort head-on, to sit with frustration instead of fleeing from it, to embrace patience when instant results tempt you to quit. This courage isn't flashy. It's not about heroic moments or sudden breakthroughs. It's about the daily choice to keep moving forward, even when the prize feels distant, because deep down, you know that what you build today becomes the foundation for tomorrow's freedom. When you fully accept this, your mindset transforms. You begin to see obstacles not as roadblocks, but as invitations to deepen your mastery. Challenges become the raw materials of growth, not reasons to stop. This shift rewires your brain to seek solutions instead of excuses, to prioritize progress over perfection, and that mindset is a powerful magnet for success. It pulls opportunities toward you, aligns your decisions with your goals, and strengthens your resolve to overcome setbacks. The power of specialized knowledge isn't just in what you learn, it's in how you grow through what you face. Every moment you commit to learning something specific, you are investing in your future self. This investment pays dividends that compound over time. You may not see it immediately, but it's happening beneath the surface, like roots growing stronger underground before a tree blooms. That unseen growth fuels your resilience. It sharpens your skills. It deepens your understanding. And when the world finally recognizes your value, it's not a surprise. It's the natural result of years spent cultivating expertise while others chase distractions. This journey requires discipline that goes beyond motivation. Motivation fluctuates. It's fueled by feelings that come and go. Discipline is the steady hand that guides you regardless of mood or circumstance. It's waking up every day ready to show up for your craft even when you don't feel like it. It's saying no to easy distractions because you know your focus is sacred. It's creating habits that support your growth even if they're small, because those small habits build momentum that carries you through the toughest days and pushes you closer to your dreams with every step. Remember, mastery isn't a destination. It's a continuous process. It demands patience, humility, and a willingness to evolve, but it also offers something priceless, the confidence that you are capable of handling whatever comes your way. You become someone who adapts, learns, and rises again and again. That strength changes not just your skills, but your entire life. It frees you from fear of failure because you know failure is part of learning. It frees you from comparison because your progress is unique to your journey. It frees you from doubt because your actions prove your commitment. Specialized knowledge transforms you into a person who doesn't wait for permission to succeed. You become the architect of your own life, building every day on the foundation of skill, focus, and courage. This is where real power lives. This is where your legacy begins. This is where you step into who you were always meant to be. To build specialized knowledge is to claim control over your future. It means choosing depth over distraction, mastery over mediocrity, and purpose over passivity. This choice rewires how you see time itself. Every moment becomes a building block, every effort a step toward a stronger foundation. You stop drifting through days without direction, lost in the noise of endless options. Instead, you anchor yourself in intention. This is how momentum is born, not from fleeting motivation, but from the steady, focused accumulation of skill and wisdom. You become unstoppable because you are no longer waiting for the perfect moment or external validation. You create your own momentum by showing up consistently day after day. This commitment to specialization shifts your identity. You no longer see yourself as a passive consumer of information, but as an active creator of value. You take ownership of your learning and growth. The process demands humility, accepting that mastery takes time and resilience, the grit to persist despite setbacks. Yet within this struggle lies your transformation. As you grow deeper in your field, you feel a sense of alignment between your work and your soul. This alignment fuels your drive in ways surface-level goals never could. It's no longer about chasing success or approval. It's about embodying excellence, living with integrity, and creating impact that resonates beyond yourself. Your mind begins to operate differently. You start recognizing patterns where others see chaos. You find solutions that feel invisible to those who have only skimmed the surface. This clarity sharpens your decision-making. It reduces wasted effort. It empowers you to invest energy where it counts most. And that's how you multiply your results without multiplying your workload. Specialized knowledge is your secret weapon in a world drowning in distractions. It gives you the power to rise above noise, stand firm in uncertainty, and steer your life with precision. In this pursuit, patience becomes a superpower. You learn to embrace slow progress, knowing that rapid shortcuts rarely lead to lasting success. You understand that every moment spent deepening your knowledge builds resilience that no quick fix can provide. This patience is not passive waiting. It is active persistence, fueled by an unwavering belief that your dedication will pay off. You become a master of delayed gratification, trading short-term pleasure for long-term greatness. This shift rewires your brain to value growth and depth, transforming obstacles into opportunities to refine your craft. Every small victory compounds over time. The knowledge you gather is not just information, it is transformation. It rewires your beliefs, expands your confidence, and rewires your habits. This internal shift empowers you to face future challenges with calm certainty. When doubts arise, you respond with evidence. The skills you've built, the progress you've made, the discipline you've maintained. This evidence is your armor against fear. It propels you forward when others hesitate because you trust the process. You know that specialized knowledge is not a destination, but a lifelong journey, one that continually deepens your power, your purpose, and your impact. In this relentless pursuit, you become more than what you were yesterday. You become a force, a focused, fierce, and fearless force, capable of shaping your destiny with every choice, every action, every day. Specialized knowledge does something profound. It redefines your relationship with failure. Instead of seeing failure as a permanent verdict, you begin to view it as a necessary step in your growth. It becomes a tool for learning, not a sign of defeat. This shift in perspective liberates you from the fear that so often paralyzes action. When failure is reframed as feedback, you start to embrace risks rather than avoid them. You take on challenges that stretch you, knowing that each setback carries valuable insight. This mindset is not just comforting, it is empowering. It arms you with resilience and keeps you moving forward even when the path is unclear. Your confidence grows because it's built on experience, not wishful thinking. This experience is hard-earned and uniquely yours. It's forged through repeated attempts, adjustments, and steady improvement. Every misstep adds a layer of wisdom that can't be replicated by shortcuts or surface-level learning. This depth of understanding creates a sense of certainty that comes from knowing you have faced adversity and emerged stronger. You no longer question your ability to handle what life throws your way. Instead, you trust your skills and your capacity to adapt. This trust fuels courage, which in turn fuels action. With specialized knowledge, your focus sharpens like a finely tuned instrument. You no longer chase every shiny object or succumb to the noise of endless distractions. Instead, you develop the ability to filter what matters from what doesn't. This clarity gives you an edge in decision-making because your choices align with a deep understanding of your field and your purpose. You spend less energy doubting and more energy doing. This shift creates flow, an almost effortless movement toward your goals. When your actions align with your specialized knowledge, progress accelerates naturally. It feels less like a struggle and more like an unfolding of what was always possible inside you. As you deepen your expertise, your value increases, not only to yourself but to those around you. People recognize the difference between surface-level effort and mastery. Your specialized knowledge sets you apart in a crowded world. It positions you as someone who can solve problems others cannot, who sees possibilities that remain hidden to most. This distinction opens doors, creates opportunities, and builds networks that support your growth. But more importantly, it builds self-respect. You stop relying on external approval because you have internal validation through competence. This internal validation becomes a fortress against doubt and discouragement. Every layer of knowledge you add is an investment in your freedom. It gives you the ability to create your own path, to design a life that aligns with your values and dreams. You move from being reactive to proactive, from waiting for permission to take control. This freedom is not given. It is earned through consistent work, discipline, and the courage to stay committed when it's hardest. It requires daily choices that prioritize your growth over comfort, your vision over momentary pleasure. But the payoff is immense. A life where you are not at the mercy of circumstances, but the architect of your destiny. The journey to specialized knowledge demands patience, resilience, and faith in the process. It demands that you keep showing up, even when progress seems slow. Because beneath the surface, transformation is happening. You are becoming the person capable of achieving greatness, not someday, but now. To truly own specialized knowledge is to accept that learning is a lifelong journey, not a brief phase or a quick fix. It demands humility, the willingness to admit that no matter how much you know, there is always more to discover. This openness creates a powerful paradox. The more you learn, the more you realize how much remains unknown. Yet this is not a source of fear, but a catalyst for growth. It pushes you to keep stretching beyond your comfort zone, to question your assumptions, and to seek deeper understanding. This mindset prevents stagnation. It keeps your skills sharp and your mind agile, ready to adapt to whatever challenges arise. As you embrace this endless quest, your curiosity becomes a driving force. It fuels your desire to explore, experiment, and innovate. Curiosity opens doors to insights that can transform your work and your life. It keeps you engaged and passionate, even when the routine of mastery feels tedious. This passion is the invisible fuel that powers long hours of focused effort and the discipline to say no to distractions. When your curiosity guides your learning, you become unstoppable because your growth is self-motivated and deeply personal. It is not dictated by external rewards, but by an inner fire that refuses to be extinguished. The accumulation of specialized knowledge also rewires your brain for creativity. When you dive deep into a subject, you begin to see connections others miss. You learn to combine ideas in novel ways and solve problems with fresh perspectives. This creative edge is a product of both expertise and imagination. It allows you to innovate within your field and carve out your unique space. Creativity born from mastery is not random. It is purposeful and effective. It empowers you to contribute something meaningful that no one else can replicate. This ability to create distinguishes you and fuels a profound sense of fulfillment. With each new skill, your confidence grows exponentially. Confidence rooted in competence is unshakable because it is grounded in real experience and knowledge. This confidence frees you from hesitation and self-doubt. It empowers you to take bold steps, speak your truth, and pursue ambitious goals without fear. It also fosters resilience, enabling you to recover quickly from setbacks because you trust your capacity to learn and improve. This confidence is contagious. It attracts mentors, collaborators, and opportunities that align with your vision. It transforms your presence, making you someone others look to for guidance and inspiration. Specialized knowledge is also a form of freedom. It grants you the power to choose your path rather than be controlled by circumstances. It breaks the chains of dependency on others for your success and security. When you master a skill or body of knowledge, you create leverage. You position yourself to negotiate better terms, open doors that were previously closed, and chart your own course. This freedom transforms not only your career, but your entire life. It allows you to design a future based on your values and aspirations, rather than limitations imposed by fear or ignorance. This journey is demanding, but it is the most worthwhile investment you can make. Every hour you dedicate to focused learning, every challenge you face and overcome, every failure you embrace as a lesson brings you closer to a life of mastery, purpose, and impact. Your commitment to specialized knowledge shapes your destiny, forging a legacy that transcends obstacles and time. This is your path to true power. The path to specialized knowledge demands more than just effort. It demands unwavering focus. In a world overflowing with distractions, your ability to concentrate on mastering one area becomes your greatest advantage. This focus is a shield against the noise that pulls you away from what truly matters. It requires saying no to countless tempting alternatives and dedicating yourself fully to your craft. This kind of commitment is not a fleeting decision. It's a daily choice to prioritize your growth above temporary pleasure or ease. With every moment you invest, you reinforce your identity as someone who refuses to settle for mediocrity. Deep focus rewires your brain to absorb and retain knowledge with remarkable efficiency. The more you immerse yourself, the sharper your insights become. Complex concepts that once seemed impossible to grasp suddenly begin to make sense. Your mind starts to connect dots faster and see patterns others overlook. This heightened clarity fuels your confidence and motivates you to dive even deeper. The power of focused learning lies in its ability to transform overwhelm into manageable steps. Instead of feeling lost in vast amounts of information, you break it down into actionable pieces. This transforms what once felt daunting into a series of achievable goals. When focus meets specialized knowledge, it creates momentum, an unstoppable force that propels you forward. Momentum builds because your progress is visible and tangible. Each day's work stacks upon the last, creating compounding results. This accumulation of progress breeds motivation, and motivation fuels more progress. It's a cycle that feeds itself, making the hard work feel less like labor and more like a natural unfolding. As momentum grows, self-doubt diminishes, replaced by a growing certainty that you are moving in the right direction. This certainty is critical because it silences the inner critic that often holds you back. Mastering specialized knowledge also reshapes your identity. You start to see yourself not as someone who struggles to keep up, but as a person with unique expertise and value. This shift in self-perception is profound because it rewires how you approach challenges and opportunities. You no longer wait for external validation to feel worthy. Instead, your sense of worth comes from the deep understanding and skills you have cultivated. This internal validation builds resilience, allowing you to withstand criticism, rejection, or failure without losing faith in yourself. Your identity becomes rooted in growth, mastery, and contribution rather than external circumstances. This identity shift changes the way you engage with the world. You begin to take ownership of your learning and your future. No longer passive, you become an active architect of your life. You set clear goals aligned with your specialized knowledge and pursue them relentlessly. This active engagement transforms fear into excitement and uncertainty into possibility. It awakens a sense of purpose that energizes every decision you make. When your actions align with your identity, motivation becomes effortless because you are living in harmony with who you are becoming. At the core of this journey is the realization that specialized knowledge is a gateway to freedom. Freedom from doubt, fear, and limitation. It grants you the tools to create your own path and shape your destiny. But this freedom requires commitment and courage. It requires a willingness to embrace discomfort and persevere through setbacks. When you accept this, you unlock a power within that cannot be taken away. This power propels you toward a future defined not by circumstance, but by your own relentless pursuit of mastery.